Please, allow me to show you something.
Black, run that shit back, man.
Stay strong for a nigga. You wondering is everything gonna be okay? It will be okay if you just stay strong. Stay strong for a nigga.
What's going on? Welcome back to another Media Man Live. I am excited to be here, man. Hope y'all had a very merry, happy Father's Day. Man, I sure did, man. So thank y'all for tuning in. Man, we have an amazing show. I put a lot of work into this, to help you guys understand the types of books that I read. And I promise you, this is one that you're going to want to keep on your shelf and you're going to reference it throughout your life. And I'm glad that John C. Maxwell, him and his foundation, they decided to update it to make it more modern, where we can understand it from a social media point of view. You guys will see some of that in there. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, we're going to be reviewing the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. And we're going to I'm going to, kind of quiz you guys, not necessarily, but I want you to interpret how you hear things from an office standpoint, from work standpoint, and how you translate that into your relationships. He does discuss relationships in the book. However, we're going to look at some of the first irrefutable laws, which I feel like is most important. I'm going to point out where I lack on some of the 21, and I'm going to explain why. And of course, we're going to start there. But first, we have a couple of videos that I want to show you guys prior to us getting into the book review. And also, like I said, man, we got a new challenge, and I can't wait to get to it. You guys know that I try and hold you accountable in regards to your fitness. This time we going for something else, and this one will be all on you, just like the fitness one. So I can't wait. And I just got finally let me put this on here real quick. One of the videos that I was waiting to load and come up here. Okay, we good to go. So now we can get to it, man. And let me shout out Pooh Man in the building for putting all the links in the description. I greatly appreciate it, bro. You know what it is. Always support your boy. Thank you for being here. We got 41 folks in the building. Please make sure you like the video. Greatly appreciate it. And we also got Mona D in the building. Thank you, Mona, for being here. Yeah, this is going to be a great one. I promise you. The ladies and the gentlemen will get some gems from this as well. So I can't wait. And the star of the show, Dante Bryant with the $5 super chat, brother Double M. I actually got a drop that I've been messing around with for Dante Bryant every time he drop a super chat. So here we go. Let's see here.
Black man, it's chicken on a mother table. Black man trying to make it in society. Sitting on hip because I know they want to rob. Black man, it's chicken on a mother table. Black man, we need all that.
What y'all know about that Larry June? Y'all don't know nothing about Larry June. That's Larry June's new song, Black Man. Y'all need to go ahead and download that. That's for Dante Bryant, man. You know what I'm saying? What y'all know about that? Yeah, I'm going to put together your other one, but I was just messing around with that. I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and acknowledge Dante Bryant and put some Larry June on the track. You know what I'm saying? Good morning, BAN. Hey, that needs to be y'all alarm clock. Good morning, BAN. Let's get to this paper. Let's get to this money. Somebody said in the chat or in his comments, it's like, I'm gonna tell people that Larry June is my self-help coach. Larry June will definitely get you right, man. I love that dude, man. Up north, man, Northern California. That's what I'm talking about. Represent. But yeah, man, let me see here. What else we got? Let me get this right. Yeah, this is going to be a good show, man. Y'all know I always get excited to talk about these shows. And also, we're going to play another A-Lux video. We're going to see where everybody is at, in regards to your age. And like I tell the young guys, stop, measuring yourself off men who should be established or are already established, because we tend to do that in the Black community. We don't give time. We don't give young men time to grow and mature into their wealth and their knowledge of wealth and income. We always look at it like, you should be making this. Dude is looking at him like, bro, I'm 23 years old. So I'm going to put y'all in the right category so you can see if you're on the right track or not. A-Lux always does an amazing job of putting these videos together so people can understand them. We have another breakdown, and I've been asking this question. I don't know if you guys remember this. I just recently asked, I was like, what does the level mean? Like when you hear, some of Black women say, he's not on my level or you're not on my level. I found a video and this young lady kind of explained it. So I'm going to break this down for her and also for the men. So I've been asking that question for a while. What does that mean? You're not on my level. So she kind of explained a little bit. We're going to get to it. Let's see here. We got Air Force Rick in the building. $5 super chat said, I caught the live from Saturday, and K Michelle has been on that stuff for years, but can't go online and find the truth. What up, Media Man in chat? Yeah, man, it's unfortunate. And I had a great conversation with one of my homeboys. I was just like, I was asking, like, why? Like, why would you put this stuff out there? It's got to be hatred. It has to be. That's the only answer. A Brown, what up though? 199 super chat said early. Thanks for another show. Oh yeah, man, this is gonna be a good one. It's definitely gonna be good. Let's see here. We got Rad Talk 199 super chat said sounds like a fire topic. Oh man, hey, this is one of my favorite books. And like I said, this is not a book that you read once and you put it down, because you're always going to need some of the guidance. And as I stated before, in regards to holding myself accountable, I always point out my flaws, man. I was definitely not perfect, especially in the military. I've grown, I'm matured, being working in the civilian world for almost 5 years now. I always have to face my flaws, straight ahead. And also I have to be an example of what I'm telling you guys to do. And I say that because I know I'm very critical of men, in particular Black men, in regards to our health and fitness. And sometimes I get a lot of pushback. Guys don't like to hear that. But if I wasn't mirroring what I'm telling you guys, then it would be a problem. And I blow upsuated. I was spilling over and spilling out. I mean, I still had muscle, but it was a layer of fat under there that I need to get rid of. I saw an issue, I put out the challenge, and here we are now. And I'll explain what I mean by here we are now in a second. But yeah, and sometimes people kind of stray away from the title of being an influencer, social media influencer, or YouTuber. Man, you can't run from that. And I know people like to downplay the significance of it, but when we're about to talk about the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, you guys will understand why these spaces are very important. And, the type of person that you are definitely will reflect on the type of content that you put out. And I'm going to explain to you what I'm talking about once we get into it. But like I said, we got a couple other videos and then our challenge that I'm going to present to you guys and see if you want to get involved, because I put a lot of work into this. I had to do some math. I mean, that's the easy part. I mean, it's me working in biostatistics, but it took a little bit to put the little thing together, the image together, so you guys can have it readily available. And I will post it on the community post once we get done here. Let's see here. And we got Pooh Man with the $2 super chat said, don't forget y'all, Revoidia Medicaid. See, now we got to bring Revoidia back up here, and it's going to be your fault, Pooh Man. Revoidia? Hell no. Nah. And you see, I leave that super chat up there so they know who did it. You know what I'm saying? So she won't know, she won't blame me. So William K. Jones, member for 2 months. 2 months of greatness. Thanks for all that you do. Oh, yeah, William, you're going to definitely enjoy this after the talk that we had about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, you definitely going to enjoy this live stream, brother. I promise you. See here, Red Room Entertainment, $5 super chat said, truest dude here. Oh, okay. New Media Man shirt coming soon. You look like the type. Why you bringing up old shit, man? Why? That was so funny. Well, it was right off the cuff too. What the truest dude? Our Red Room Entertainment, off the cuff, off the bat, 4 extra. Yeah, that dude was quick with it. You look like the type. He's like, oh, I'm at Motherly. Oh, you wild boy. Okay, let's get this out of here. But yeah, so let's get to it, man. That was so funny. All right, so again, like I said, I wanted to understand what the level means, and I found this podcast. Well, it was on TikTok, but I'm assuming that they have a podcast on YouTube. It was called Suburban Black Girls. Mona, do you know this this podcast? Called Suburban Black Girls. They're kind of small. I think they're just now making their way, but I'm assuming the premise is, it's supposed to be, I guess, 2 Black women who are supposedly affluent, I guess, grew up in nice neighborhoods. So they're giving their experience as a Black woman or Black girl growing up in suburbia. And they put out this video and they talk about relationships and education and things like that. And I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. So now I have somewhat of a grasp on what some Black women mean by, are you on my level? Okay. And this, let me show you what they said. Fair use, fair use. Here we go.
Women with degrees and professional careers are expected to settle more than their.
Let's go back. Listen.
Do you think Black women with degrees and professional careers are expected to settle more than their non-Black counterparts? As you know, we get older and it's kind of like you're over 30 and you're a Black woman and you know, we've achieved a certain amount of things. I've seen their expectations of what they want in a man change as they get older, because you're starting to realize like some of those things that you really want, it's becoming harder to achieve or have. So as you're getting older, you're like, I can accept a kid or two. I can accept if he's maybe makes less than me. I can accept the fact that he's 5'8" and not 6'3". Yeah, it's still kind of a form of settling. But then again, I hate saying the word settling because it's like no one is perfect. Even us as women, there are things that we don't have. So is it still a form of settling? Yes or no? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think everyone's opinion on that is different.
Okay, so like she said, and I wanted to hone in on three key things. First, she said Black women over 30, which is one, the degrees, and also kids. Let's throw a fourth one in there, money. So she mentioned that what they consider on their level, I'm assuming, is if a Black man has kids, he doesn't have a degree, they make more money than that Black man. And what was the other one? Did I miss? Oh, 30 years old, over 30 years old. So that's her parameters. So I kind of got a grasp, but I just wanted to explain to Black women who think like this. Did y'all ever think that Black men are, that are meeting those requirements are actually settling for you guys? And I'm going to explain why I say that. And this is no, disdain or anything or hate or whatever. But I just want to explain to you guys what Black men are actually facing when we get into these particular age groups, 30 years old. And let me level set real quick. Hold on. Let me get the super chat. Jay Renard Leather, member for 6 months. What up, though? Happy belated happy Father's Day. I'll custom make you a wallet later. Oh, man. Hey, brother, we pay over here, brother. You know what I'm saying? You make me a wallet. Hey, I got to give you some ducats, some ends, some coins. Send me the link. Send me the link. I got you, man. JT Coin Rings will let you know. Yeah, we don't, nothing for free, man. You doing all that hard work. I got you, brother. Thank you. You've been a member. What is that? 6 months? Yeah. You can need to return on your investment, brother. So let's get to it. So now you guys understand why I asked this question on my community post, because there's some guys putting think pieces. I'm like, bro, just simply ask the question. And I was like, education in the Black community. Popular Black social media discussion. Black women have more degrees than Black men, and that's why it's hard for Black women to get married. And then I asked the question, if you meet 10 Black men, how many do you think earn/hold a bachelor's degree or higher? And I asked the same question for Black women. Now, she mentioned kids, right? Let's start here. And we just actually went over this. So did you guys know that Black women under 20, that's when they have 42.2% of their children, right? So then 20 to 24, 34 to 39, 34.9% have children, 25 to 29, 12.3%. And then over Black men under 20, 14.1% of their children. And then 20 to 24, 38%. Then 25 to 29, 22.5%. And all these statistics are from the National Center for Family Growth. And, the CDC report, the fertility report from 2015 to 2019. This was published January 2023. So this is very accurate, right? So I put down there 77.1%, 24 and under have children on the Black women's side. And then 24 and under for Black men is 52.1%. So there's a difference there. So let's see under 29. So for Black women who think that Black men will have a hard time, or you will have a hard time finding a man without a child, actually it's the other way around. Because by the time Black women are 29, they've had 89.4% of the children already have children. So by the time Black women are 29 years old, 89.4% already have children. And then by the time black men are 29, 74.6% already have children. Okay? So that's a 14.8% difference in favor of black women. So if we look at the statistics, if you take all things equal, you take a black woman and a black man and you put them in that age 30 category, 9 times out of 10, I would say, 9 times out of 10, that black woman is already going to have children, as opposed to black men, a little over 3 or 7 out of 10 have children. Okay, so there's a gap there. There's like 2-person gap, I would say, right? So I just wanted to explain that portion to it, because I think women like that, they're going into it thinking that black men are having all these children. However, black men tend to have their children when they're older. Black women tend to have the majority of their children when they're younger. So that's why when black women hit age 30 and black men hit age 30, it's about 9 out of 10 have kids. Black men, a little over 7 out of 10 have children. Make sense? So in that aspect, black men would be selling it. Make sense? Okay, let's continue. And then also, let me put things into perspective for the education, because we always talk about this, like black women have more degrees and they're outpacing black men in regards to education. Post-Secondary Policy Institute. This is for men of color. And I'm going to just go directly down here. So where's black men? Right there. So the rate for Asian men who have bachelor's degrees or higher at age 25 would be 52.9%. For black men, it is 22%. So if you see 10 black men, 2 of them have a bachelor's degree or higher. Okay. And let me make this a little bit larger for you guys. See right there in the middle. This is black men. For black men, 22%. Okay. And don't worry, I got more information. You guys can find this. I've already done a video on this. So let's go to black women. Before we go to black women statistics, tell me if I'm lying if you guys have heard this narrative. Like, black women are outpacing black men by so much. Put a 1 in the chat, right? So you would assume if only out of 10 black men, only 2 have bachelor's degrees or higher. So you would assume that black women would be at least 7, 8, right? By the way the black community talks about this. Let me educate real quick. Same report for women of color in higher education from the Post-Secondary National Policy Institute. So right there, what do you guys see? What do you see right there? For black women, it is 29.3%. Okay? Let me read the whole thing so you guys won't think I'm tripping. According to the Census American Community Survey, in 2023, 19.2% of the total U.S. population identified as women of color. In total, 9.6% of the population were Hispanic or Latino women, 6.1% were black women, 3.1% were Asian women, and 0.3% were American Indian / Alaska Native women, and 0.1% were Native Hawaiian / Pacific Islander women. Among women of color, age 25 or over, 31.2% had earned a bachelor's degree or higher. The rate for Asian women is 56.7%. So there goes that notion of black women being the most educated. It's not true. And then for black women, it is 29.3%. Okay? 29.3%. So the black community is so up in arms about black men not going to school. Literally, 2 black men, 3 black women. Okay? Out of 10. Make sense? So no, black women are not outpacing black men like people are trying to discuss it. So it's only a 1-person difference. Did y'all know that? Is this new information to you guys based off of the conversations that you hear on social media? because they tried to pigeonhole black men in regards to HBCUs, in particular Howard University. And they tried to make it seem like all these black men just not going to college. Guess what? Black women not graduating from college either. Okay? 2 to 3. All right? And also, before somebody asks, well, you didn't get that from the National Center for Education and Statistics. Bing bong. Data sources: American Community Survey and Current Population Survey, U.S. Census Bureau, February 2025. I hate saying this word. Bachelorette. How you say that? I'm not even going to try. Bachelor and Beyond Survey, National Center for Education and Statistics, November 2023. Digest of Education Statistics, National Center of Education and Statistics. This is February 2025. And National Post-Secondary Student Aid Survey, National Center for Education and Statistics, February 2025. And you can see right here, updated February 2025. Very simple. And this is what it looks like if you break it down. And I literally had to create this. You see this? So here's a simple picture to help the delayed understand. If you meet 10 black women, 29.3 hold a bachelor's degree or higher. If you meet 10 black men, 22 hold a bachelor's degree or higher. Is that easy? That's easy, right? So no, black women are not outpacing black men like that. You know, the way the black community talks about this. In fact, we all need, if college is your goal and you're not going for a trade or you're not trying to be an entrepreneur, then yes, I will encourage you to go to school. I would love to see the black community at least at half. If you meet 10 black women, 50% have a degree. If you meet 10 black men, 50% have a degree. And the reason why I say that is because that's the easiest way to building wealth. People with degrees earn more money. People with degrees stay married longer. Okay? So I know people like to push back, and I'm not trying to get into debt. I definitely understand that. However, the statistics show that if you have a bachelor's degree, you tend to command more income at your jobs. You get higher paying jobs. Fair to say? Okay. But also, I'm not done, because I know somebody is out there like, man, nah, you lying, media man. It's 38% of black women that have degrees, and only 26% of black men have bachelor's degrees or higher. Let me show you where you got that from. Okay, so you guys see this here. It's a very simple graph. It says 38 to 26, 2024. If you read the fine print on this Pew Research article, guys, so you won't be going out there, the percentage is from ages 25 to 34. It says right at the top, gender gap in college completion varies by race and ethnicity in the U.S. Percentage of 25 to 34-year-olds with a bachelor's degree. There you have it, guys. So they're only taking this information from the ages 25 to 34. And I know most people are like, well, that's the sweet spot for all people to get their degrees. I understand that. However, if you only want to utilize 25 to 34, then you're going to be cutting off a significant percentage of black women who go to school at later ages. And also the black women, hint, hint, who are parents in college by the numbers. I'm going to break this down for you guys. And this is just showing the student mothers and student fathers, and the student mothers are in the purple. And this is all, okay? 2.6% of student mothers, and these are statistics from the Institute for Women's Policy Research, from 2015 to 2016. At that time, it was 2.6 million student mothers. And then student fathers, it was 1.1 million. And then 1.6 million were single mothers, and 439,000 were single fathers. And then you go down here, 1 million women were married who were mothers, and 697,000 men were married, okay? And are, who are single fathers. Let's keep going. Let's break this down too before somebody asks a question about well, if black women have a lot of kids and black men do too. Absolutely not. When they go to college. No. Over a quarter of all women and 2 in 5 black women in college are mothers. And this is the share of students from 2015 to 2016. This is, I'm pretty sure this is increased. However, at the time of this report, hold on, it's loading. Okay, here we go. So you see right here, that's the highest bar. That represents black women. The white are women. The purple are men. This is for the black community. 40%, 2 in 5, 40% of black women who are in college are mothers, whether married or unmarried. Only 21% of black men who are in college are fathers, whether married or unmarried. So again, once you start increasing the ages, it's starting to look more like black men would actually have to settle, not black women, because there's going to be a significant overage of black men who, you know, who don't have kids. And then when you go to the ones that do have kids and are in college, it's 19% difference in favor of black women. Well, let's stay here. Hold on. I'm not done. But I did want to point out the age thing. So at the bottom here, it says student parents tend to be older while enrolled in college than their peers without children. Student parents' median age is 32 years old, compared with 27 for independent students without children and 20 for dependent students. 3 in 5 student parents are 30 and older. Roughly 1/4 are 24 to 29. So the reason why this is important is because I know there's going to be somebody that's going to think, well, if we just focus on the 25 to 34, then it will be higher for black women. It's 38%. But if you do that, you have to cut out a significant amount of black women who go to college when they're older. And shout out to Kevin Samuels for mentioning this. He said when black women get bored, they're like, oh, let me go get another degree. Y'all ever heard that before? Those women are not in their 20s. Damn near every woman that's older on these Pop the Balloon shows, they all in school. So when you start looking at 30 and you start to go up, that's when a lot of black women either start school or they go back to school. And I don't have anything wrong with that. Get your education, okay? But just be mindful if you try and use that 38 to 26% statistic, because you got to cut out a large amount of black women, okay? Let's keep going. I'm not done. I'm going to explain this, this settle thing for the black community. Lord. So right here, let me go down. So right here it says, looking across racial ethnic backgrounds, black college students are the most likely to be parents at 33%. That is the average between the two, 40 and 21. Black women, 2 in 5 are mothers, are more likely than women from other backgrounds to be raising children while in college. Let me see here. We got that. And then also, let me point out this. Women in student debt. Women make up just over half of students enrolled in all sectors of higher education, yet hold almost 2/3 of the country's student debt. $929 billion. It's actually increased since then. Women who take out loans borrow an average of $31,000, about 7% more than men, and many women of color borrow significantly more. And this is another thing. People always say they're trying to target black women. No, they're trying to educate y'all. And you see all these reports every time they have like something, talking about like debt or something like that. They always use a caveat and say particularly black women, because that's what they're saying. Black women need the most help. That's why you see all these grants, Goldman Sachs, they're looking at the statistics and they're trying to help y'all. And y'all get offended when people point out this stuff. If they're highlighting you, then you have to be sure that something's in place to try and help, because that's what Democrats vote for, right? Fair to say? All right, let's continue. So if you look here, once again, cumulative debt on women's graduate loans, including principal and interest 1 year after graduation by race and ethnicity. So this is cumulative debt. This is for graduates and bachelors, $75,000. That is the highest amongst all women. Second, Asian women at $70,000, who are the most educated. And this is what it looks like when it's separated. So at the top here at orange that you guys see, this is for undergraduate loans. Black women, $41,000, which is the highest in that. And then the total. Okay, guys? So I'm just explaining this. So, hey, this is something to be mindful. And then also, if you look deeper in debt from 2021, this is what a lot of women are facing. This is women's anticipated salary right after graduation. It is $35,000. Okay. Then post-tax, it's about $29,000, which equates to $2,434 a month. And this is using a median state tax rate. And this is just an estimate, but they're showing you guys an example of what it typically looks like when women graduate college, when they, right after they graduate college. So without childcare, using, the sample budget, the remaining funds without a woman without children will be $148 based off of this salary. But with childcare, if a woman has kids, Black women, pay attention, 372 monthly deficit. That is not remaining funds. That is a monthly deficit. Okay? So Black women, I'm talking specifically to y'all. It will be mindful. It will behoove you to not have children while you're in college. It will be mindful of you to not have kids under 20 years old, because when you go to college, you're going to be facing some debt on both ends. From the money that you earn after you spend each month, you're going to be in debt. And then from the student loans. Okay? And now watch you. Why you focus on Black women? Because they in my community. Duh. Jesus Christ. And if you think I'm lying about these statistics, you can look at the little, you put it in Chat GPT or whatever the hell, and it shows you the several data points, and it goes by year. Around 2021, 30.8% of Black women aged 25 and over in the United States obtained at least a bachelor's degree. Then in 2022, it decreased 28.3%. Then, like I just reported, in 2023, 29.3% of Black women aged 25 or older earned a bachelor's degree or higher. Compared to men, Black women are significantly more likely to earn college degrees. In 2021, Black women had at least a bachelor's degree compared to 24.9%. So you see how they word this? Black women are significantly more likely than Black men to earn college degrees. From this report in 2021, that is 30.8% to 24.9%. That does not constitute a significant gap. Y'all tell me. Okay? 30.8% to 24.9%. That is not significant at all. Okay? So you guys have to be mindful of how they word certain things, but they would try and sneak you. All right? They try and sneak these things in there to try and, shame Black men a little bit. But when you start looking at stuff, you see, the actual truth. But so now do y'all understand how the education dynamics shake out? Simple, right? So the thing, the key takeaway that you need to leave this, video with is that 29.3% of Black women over the age of 25 hold a bachelor's degree or higher, as opposed to Black men, 22%. Okay? That's it. So when you hear the Black community talking about, they have far more degrees than Black men, no, it's not true. Okay? There you have it. And please, like I always say, I could be lying. I would advise you to fact check me. Okay? Because like I said, you don't know me and I don't know you. So I could be making all this shit up. I could have typed this up, a while back. So you might want to check what I'm looking at. Your Black community, boy. All right. Dante Bryant with the $10 bomb. He said, no, they don't, because Black men are the garbage men of the dating market, and we've been doing it for so long. Other races of women are starting to get help. That's funny. Yeah, man. And like I said, if we're talking about settling based off of what those young ladies said, on all fronts, black men would be actually settling, because even if one more black woman has one more college degree than black men still earn more, especially when you start getting into the higher ages. I will give black women credit. When you're younger, yes, you do out earn black men. I believe under like 25, maybe even up to 29. But once we start to get older, men start to out earn black men start to out earn black women at a significant rate. Okay, in all categories. You can see that little chart that Black Demographics put out there a while back with the $100,000. You can see how it, it increases with time. Okay, so yeah, so if that's considered a win for black women to out earn black men at younger ages, so be it. Because black men aren't competing with y'all. I don't know why we always talk about this education stuff as if we're trying to one up. We're supposed to be a community, right? Just thinking. Lord, Dante Bryant.
Black man is shaking on a mother table. Black man trying to make it in society. Sitting on hip because I know they want to rob. Black man is shaking on a mother table. Black man, we need all that.
Black man. Erroneous C, $5 super chat said, don't black women outnumber black men also? Yeah. So that percentage difference actually means more than just a typical 14% difference. Or am I off? No, and that's true. Black women do outnumber black men. So yes, and that's why that's why we highlight the point of when black men do go to college, they graduate at a higher percentage rate than black women. If that makes sense. So if you have a smaller percentage of black men, 22 are getting degrees, as opposed to black women having more, 29.3%. Yeah, when black men go to college, they graduate at a higher percentage when they go to college. So that's kind of the lane that you discussed in there. So that's how that shows up. So thank you. Good question. Rad Talk 199 super chat said, also consider the percentage of men in STEM. Yeah, and men in STEM, black men in STEM, actually hold more degrees than black women in STEM. And shout out to Nigerians. If Nigerians was their own population, they would be killing it. I don't know if y'all noticed that. Damn near half my coworkers are Nigerian. So brothers and sisters smart. So let's see here. Oh, Dante Bryan said, $2 super chat said, Media Man got it covered on all fronts. Oh, yeah, man, I had to get to it, man, because I wanted to know what settling actually meant. And I'm glad that they brought that up. And I just wanted to show them that, yes, it will be far more likely for black men to settle. And the funny thing is, black men don't mind. Most men don't mind settling for a woman if she has, she don't have a college degree. She don't make as much as him. That's not what men do. So, yeah, so I'm just using that. I'm using their lingo against them, so to speak, because we all know that most men don't. We ain't trying to vet like that. Your booty big? All right. Don't listen to me, young dudes. Anyway, William K. Jones, 499 super chat said, putting my usual in the coffers, 6% isn't significant to me. I'd be interested to see what the percentage looks like for STEM. You can go to National Center for Education and Statistics. They actually break it down in a nice little column, so you guys can see you kind of see it break down. But yeah, it's over there. It's under one of my videos. I can't remember. Let's see here. All right. Cool. All right. So the next challenge. So you guys know that the weight loss challenge is about to come to an end. I think we got 29 more days? Yeah, about 29 more days, I believe. So let me show you guys where we at. Where is it? Hold on one second. I want to show y'all something before we get to the actual new challenge. Where is it? Here we go. You suck MCs. Wait, I can't put their names out. Hold on, give me 1 second. Entertain yourselves. I gotta blank out their names because I know they didn't sign up for that. Let me see here. Bing. Got you, OG. Before I send these pictures up, I'll keep my eyes up there. Black man. Here we go. Let's see here. Where is it? Here we go. All right. Let's see here. So with the fitness challenge, remember, guys, we started with 46 people. 46 people signed up for the fitness challenge. You know, weight loss, get in shape challenge, right? So 46. Just wanted to point that out. Now, the only people that are left still doing the fitness challenge out of those 46, 3 people. 3. And I remember when I put this up there, I started at the end of February, and a lot of people was like, they're saying, man, that's a long time. You know, that's too long. But you see, I gave you guys grace. You know what I'm saying? So we going all the way until July 16th. It is literally only 3 people left. We got my guy right here. He's still going with 41.8 pounds lost. You got your boy right here. I'm up to 27.2 right now. I'll show you in a second. But yeah, so here you go. And then we got this young man right here. Okay. Only 3 people left, still in the green. Everybody else is in the red. My guy right there, he's still going for his goal. He's going to get there, I'm pretty sure, before the 16th of July. So that's how tough these challenges are, guys. We started with 46, and it's only 3 left. 3 strong. Just like, scheduling an overseas trip with black folks. You start with like 20 people, and then next thing you know is you all by your lonesome. So... Yep. That's good, right? So yeah, so let's keep going. And then right here, this was last week. I was at 209.4 pounds. I started the challenge at 234, but really 237, but I didn't start the challenge until I was at 234.4. So I already hit my goal of 211. I'm gonna get down to 200 so I could be shredded and swole, jacked and juicy. Pause. Shout out to Robert Frank. And then I weighed in today. I'm at 207.2. That's how much I am currently weighing. That's crazy, right? Since the end of February, I've been grinding, man. I told y'all. So I wouldn't be able to call myself an actual influencer if I wouldn't join in on this stuff with you guys. Okay? And then also, there you have it right there. That's my scale. Let me go back up. Where'd I go? All right. So now that we got that out the way, now it's time to get to the new challenge. And I want y'all to be involved in this, but I'm going to show you some statistics first. And you know where we going. Money. Bank rate. This was published in April 2025. The average amount in U.S. savings accounts. How does your cash stack up? You know where I'm going with this, black folks. All right. So let's look at single with 1 or more children. So the median will average savings account for single with 1 or more children is about $2,400. Okay. And then right here, single without children, $4,000 is the average savings. I'm looking at the averages. Okay, hold on. Let me turn my phone off. Hold on. Let me make sure. God dog it. Hold on. I'm getting calls here. I think work. Y'all don't bother me. Don't get off me. Hold on, man. I'm trying. I got 2 numbers. Yeah. Sorry. Give me a second. Jesus. Man, I'm off. Hold on, guys. Okay. All right. I'm good. You turn that off. All right. And then a couple with one or more children, $12,500. Couple without children, $16,000. Okay. And this is the average. Now let's go here. What's next? Can y'all guess what I'm about to show y'all? I'm pretty sure. Average savings by race and ethnicity. As far as race, those classified as non-Hispanic whites has significantly higher median and mean account balances than those in the Hispanic and Black categories, reflecting a racial wealth gap, as white families hold more than 5 times the wealth of the typical Black or Hispanic family. And this is what it looks like. White folks, their average bank account balance is $12,000. Black folks, $2,110 average. Hispanic, $2,100, and then other $6,000. Okay, so you see right there, guys, the Black community, we're struggling with the savings account, right? But I'm actually going to help you guys out because I'm going to do this with you. This is what I created, guys. Medium Man's High Yield Savings Challenge. So what I'm going to do here, we're going to start a challenge. And the middle part of the year is actually July 2nd, which adds up perfectly. Okay, so that gives you a little bit of time to consider if you're going to join into this High Yield Savings Challenge. And I know some people like there, man, I'm not putting no money into Medium Man's account. No, that's not what I'm doing here. This ain't Dr. Umar. Sorry, Dr. Umar. But yeah, you guys are going to be accountable for opening up your own high yield savings account, and you're going to contribute to it until the end of the year, until you reach a significant, amount of money. And I'm pretty sure you know what that significant amount of money is. And this is how we're going to do it. You see right there, I got the weeks, week 1, week 2. So what you're looking at, let me make this a little bit wider. Pause. Right there, it says week 1, $3. Week 2, $6. So basically all I did is add $3 every week. $3, $6, $9, $12, all the way down to week 26, $78. However, if you look over here, the first month, if you're going to start the challenge, you see right here, first month, $30. So that's all you would be ending up. That's all you would be putting into your high yield savings account. And then the second month, you will put $78 in there. Third month, $126. Fourth month, $174. Fifth month, $222. Then 6th month, $270. And then your last deposit for the last 2 weeks would be $153. So at the end of these 26 weeks, this is how much money you would have saved. However, when you put it in a high yield account, depending on your APR or your interest rates or whatever, you're going to get some of that money back through your high yield savings account. So this one I did for people who may be strapped for cash a little bit and you still want to get involved in the challenge. This will give you half of what? The savings amount, the average savings amount for Black people. So that will give you $1,053 at the end of the year. Now, I'm going to give you some advice. The best way to do this is to open a high yield savings account that is not linked to your primary bank account. Make sense? Because you're going to be too tempted to dip and dab into that damn account. So this should be completely separate. I'm not going to tell you what type of high yield savings you need to get. You can look at the rates for yourself and find the best one for you. Me, I bank with, Navy, Federal, Chase, and all these types of things, and also bank with American Express. That's where my, my deposits go from the Medium Man LLC. Okay, so I bank with them. My gold card is with American Express, and the platinum card is with American Express. So I opened up an additional high yield savings account with American Express. So I will do this with you guys. This is the easiest way that I can teach you guys how to save money and also how to make your money grow for you. We talked about high yield savings accounts maybe 3 or 4 times on this channel. However, we didn't get to this point where we were ready to open it up. But since we're at the halfway mark and I don't want to bog you guys down with the health and fitness challenge along with the money challenge, we're going to do it July 2nd. So that gives you what? About 2 weeks to think about it, get your affairs in order, and we will hold each other accountable. And the way that we're going to do this is every month when you get paid, I need you guys to DM me, not your personal information, block out all the numbers and shit like that, but I need to see how much you deposited and how much how your account is growing. And don't cheat the system. I know we got some high earners here and you may want to contribute and you're going to be like, well, I'm just going to put all the money in there right now. Nah, let's do this gradually because I want you guys to get the feeling of depositing money into your savings every month. That's one of the primary goals. Yes, I know there are a lot of people who have way more money than what I'm asking you to put in your own savings. However, I want to teach the folks who don't know how to do this and may not have that money to save right now. I'm teaching them how to save money the easy way. Okay, so if you're going to be involved in this challenge, let's do it the right way. So every month when you deposit it, send me a DM and show me the picture and I will literally highlight you guys, not putting your personal information out there. I'm going to just mention your name. Hey, I got deposits from such and such. I got deposits from him. I got deposits from him. We good to go. So if you want to join this challenge, I'm going to put these pictures up on the community post after the show and just, type in it, put your names in there or whatever, and then screenshot the, how much you're supposed to donate to your high yield savings account. So again, this was for half of the money, that black people own our savings, right? Now we got this one for our high rollers. Medium and high yield savings challenge. So you see the difference? It was $3 over here for the half. Now we start with $6 and you go week by week. So we just increase it $6. So first month, $60. Second month, $158. Third month, $252. Fourth month, $348. Fifth month, $444. Sixth month, $540. And then last deposit, $306. So at the end of the 26 weeks, you would have saved $2,108. And then, like I said, with the rates that you get on your high yield savings account, that will put you over $2,110, which just happens to be the average savings account for black folks. So that's the reason why I'm doing this. So we can get more people to get to at least the average. And then, like I said, it's going to become a habit. Hopefully it becomes a habit and you could just put that money in there and not worry about it. All right. And just in case you guys think I'm BSing, here you go. So this is my high yield savings account. You don't have to start now. I just did this because I was going to start the show. Okay, so you see right there, I got the $60 already in there. So we good. So this is the annual percentage yield. I got a 60% rate. I'm pretty sure you guys can beat that. I'm pretty sure you could find a high yield savings account that has a higher annual percentage yield. All right. So put a 1 in the chat if you're interested in doing this. Because like I said, we don't see each other on a day-to-day basis. However, this gets people involved in, saving, and we could teach as we go. And like I said, guys, I know we have some high rollers here. I promise I know. I've had consults with a lot of you guys. So don't just cheat the system and, put the money in there and show me a DM. I already got the money. No, that's not the purpose. Okay. I get it. Cool. See? So LaSalle reactions. There you go. There you go. 4.6. Like I said, you can beat me. I'm pretty sure you can. William, MJ. Okay, LaSalle. Okay, Chris. All right. Incognito Blue said I already have one. What about one separate from the one that I already have high yield savings accounts as well, man. But I'm talking about one specifically for this challenge. If you can do it and just put it into that money, that's perfectly fine. But I honestly, another reason why I wanted to do this, I wanted to see the APY for the different companies that you guys use. So if it's a way that you could separate the money that you're putting into this challenge, then do that so I can see how much, overage that folks have at the end of the year. That would be actually cool because then we can see who actually made the most money based off of their APY. Make sense? Okay. Let's see. A Brown. Okay, so remember, I'm going to put this up. You guys have until July 2nd. So typically payday is like the 1st. We get paid first and the 15th. So I'm doing the 1st with you guys. All right, so let's do it, man. Remember, like I said, it's going to be tough because on the fitness challenge, we started with 46 folks and we down to 3, including myself. So I would love to see everybody who's saying that they're interested to continue this. And this is how, we kind of hold each other accountable. All right. Let's see here. Don't have IG. You get to email it to me. That's fine. Thank you. IQS. Yeah, just email it to me. Email it if you don't have IG, email. Brendan Lavelle, what up though? $20 bomb. I got you. The savings challenge is a great idea. Thank you for caring, brother. Other platforms just fuss and cuss all day, but you always have something actionable to help us. You are extremely appreciated and extremely necessary. Oh man, I appreciate that, man. And you know what you get. You get that bomb.
I took it back to my old energy. And she telling me she feel the chemistry. That's bullshit. She just know I'm rich. But keep going, sweetie.
That boy Brendan Rich. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Yeah, this is going to be fun. This is definitely going to be fun to see who has the better APY. And like I said, I'm pretty sure you guys can beat me. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to stay consistent. Y'all know I'm going to stay consistent. You see the weight loss challenge. How the hell would I be able to get up there and be like, sorry, guys. I had to go ahead and purchase some things. So I wouldn't be able to deposit my money. Well, first, my wife would look at me crazy. But anyway. But yeah, so I'm going to be to it. So y'all better make sure you own it. This is going to be fun, man. I think it's going to be very enjoyable. And we can watch the ALUX videos after this or after we do the breakdown because that's what y'all actually came here for. So yeah, so get ready. Right after the show, I'm going to post this, okay? William K. Jones, 499, who just said one thing to highlight about the balance is that the couples are doing better than the single people together. 2 together is better than just the sum. Yeah, and we've been talking about that for a while. We know this, and I seen the Black Millionaires Instagram channel, our page. They're trying to belittle or diminish the fact that 57% of Black men are in the middle class or higher. They tried to link that to marriage, and that plays a part slightly. But the majority of it is specifically on Black men and single Black men being in the middle class with some married folks, because we all know we have a small married, lower married percentage, 36%. So yes, when men are married, they tend to make more money. But y'all know the reason why they make more money? Because they have a family to take care of. I don't know why people don't understand this. It's like, yeah, man, we told y'all marriage was beneficial to y'all. And I was like, yeah, when you marry, you got to make more money. I thought everybody understood that. Right? I don't know. It's simple to me. Yes, you have to make more money when you are married because you got people to take care of. Oh man. Chris, what up though? $2 just said any consultations available this month. Nah, man. So the reason why I had to stop the consultations is because my work schedule is a little bit different, Chris, now, because during the summer months, I'm pretty sure you guys are used to seeing, well, you may be new here, Chris, but for my job, I travel during majority of the summer months for work. And sometimes we have international meetings that coincides with my off time because they're not on the same, time in the same time zones as us. So sometimes I have to wake up in the middle of the night and meet with individuals in Philippines and Dubai, wherever we have partners in regards to healthcare. So that's why I had to stop the consults for now, but I will be opening them back here very shortly. Okay. So I just wanted to explain that to you guys because I mentioned that about Theo because I used to be on schedule to where I watch Theo's show live. That's when it's the most funny to me. But my schedule has slightly changed. So it's tough. It's all good. But I'll open them up. Let's see here. All right. So let's start here. I'm bringing all my notes up so we can get into this book review and give you some of these jewels and gems from John C. Maxwell. We're actually going to hear him actually talk here in a second. One of my favorite parts of the books of this book, actually. Here we go. So John C. Maxwell, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. John, he actually wrote, this, it's a million seller book, over about 10 years ago, I believe. And now he expanded it, this updated edition of one of the most trusted and referenced leadership books. And it features like revised content. I got the old one and the new one. And then he provides a bunch of other different things. Like he has the sharpening and updating every law of leadership. He has 2 new laws of leadership. The new elevation, this elevation tool, if I remember from the back, from the elevation tool, revealing your leadership strengths and weaknesses. Remember, like I said, I'm going to point out where I lack in a couple of these. And then he also has a couple of new application exercises in every chapter that will help you grow. Okay. So it is an amazing book, man. And I just encourage everybody to go grab a copy if you don't have one already, because you will definitely reference it multiple times. Hold on. Let me see here. Let me get this off here. I want to bring this one up. Okay. We almost got it. One of them is still loading, one of my videos. Why is this? 1 second. Okay. Sometimes this note section be acting an ass. All right. All right, bing. So let's pull up the 21 laws so we can take a quick look, quick overview. So I found this little graph online. This is actually pretty good. It shows you the different 21 laws of leadership. So, and I'll just read out the one that we're going to highlight first, of course, is going to be the law of the lid. And this is just simply the leadership ability to determine effectiveness, covers that. Then you got the law of influence, which is going to be very important for the social media world. The law of process, we're going to discuss that. The law of navigation, the law of addition. Let me go up. The law of solid ground, the law of respect, the law of magnetism, which I can get better at. And then the law of intuition, which I can get better at. The law of empowerment, the law of connection, the law of inner circle, the law of the picture, the law of the buy-in, the law of the big mo, which is just momentum. And then the law of victory, leaders find a way to lead the team to win. The law of priorities, and then the law of sacrifice, the law of timing, and you can actually read more about timing. Where's my book at? I think it's Blink. Was that Blink by Malcolm Gladwell? Yeah, I think it was Blink. Where it's like he was talking about, was it Blink? Yeah. He was talking about, like it's no luck involved. You just got to be in the right place in the right time. That was a good book. I think that was Blink. Hold on, no, that's The Power of Thinking. I forgot which one that was. Somebody correct me if it's not Blink, where he's talking about it's no luck. You just got to be in the right place at the right time. So I forgot. In the law of explosive growth, to grow, lead followers, to multiply, lead leaders. The law of legacy, a leader's lasting value is measured by succession. Okay, and that's like replacing, the person that's going to replace you. All right, Air Force Reek tonight. Super Chat said, in regards to the savings challenge, can we put more in the account every week, or what is that? Or stick to the guidelines. For example, if you wanted to put $5 in the first week instead of $3. But I mean, so and I understand, like I said, I know that we got a lot of guys that, and I'm not being facetious here. I've talked to a bunch of you guys on consoles. Okay, I know there's a significant amount of dudes that watch my channel that make a lot more money than me. And and this is not to you, Air Force Reeks, but the reason why I put that, I wanted to make it accessible to primarily everybody, because the average income for black men is about $52,000. So just in case we do have a black man that makes $52,000, I'm pretty sure he can invest in the half, or he can invest in the whole, depending on his way of living. So that's why I put it at that. Now, if you wanted to put in $5 every month and continue building on that, man, I can't tell you what to do with your money. But the reason why I put it at that is because, for one, it lined up perfectly with the average savings account for the black community. And then, it kind of be feasible, and, it would be doable for most folks, if that makes sense. So, yeah, so it's up to you, man. I can't tell you what to do with your money. All right. Let's see. Okay, we finished that. Cool. So let's get that off there. Let me see here. But like I said, guys, and I wanted to start this off not even doing a shit sandwich, but I'll just tell you, there's laws that I severely lack in, and I'm actually trying to work on as a leader, in the civilian world. And I continued to try and work on when I was in the military. And I just wanted to ground everybody to explain that even though there's 21 laws, no one does every law perfectly. And John C. Maxwell, he actually explains that in the book. I'm bad at the law of connection. I remember when I told you guys that I had a female nurse as one of my professional mentors. There's a lot of dudes laughed at me. It's like, man, you got a female as a nurse, a woman as a nurse. But the reason for that was because I had a tough time learning how to empathize and sometimes sympathize with, the patients, to put them at ease. And I was far more rigid, and she taught me how to, leave room to acknowledge those empathetic and sympathetic moments. Okay. So that's why I tell you guys that, yes, I was bad at the law of connection. And let me explain. I'll show you a picture here. I brought this up because I know we use empathy and sympathy because they're kind of like one and the same, but there is a difference. So empathy is active. You see the hand on the shoulder and stuff like that. It's understanding someone's feelings as if they were yours. This is where I lack. Okay. Where there's certain places, certain times where you're supposed to cry. I don't cry. And that's not me being a beat 'em on your chest, an alpha male or some shit like that. I just don't know what it is. And sometimes I don't cry in certain situations. And then 3, getting to the root of the problem, offering comfort. And you guys, if you remember, and it sounds very familiar, I told you guys that I had developed asking my woman if she wanted my input on an issue that she was facing at work. You guys remember this? Where I said that I would ask her if she has a problem. Hey, do you want my input? Because as men, we're always looking for a solution, right? So when a woman starts to tell you a problem, your first thing is like, okay, how can I fix this, or how can I help her fix this? But sometimes women just want to vent, right? And I started to ask until, we start being with each other for longer, and I start, I understand her patterns and things like that. So now it's like kind of easy for me to give my input when I know that she wants it. Makes sense? And it's not necessarily me reading her mind. It's just that I've been knowing her for so long. So now I know when when to listen and when to put in my input. And sometimes us men, we have a hard time doing that. So that's where I lack. Okay. So I just want, I'm trying to explain this best possible. And then sympathy is passive, feeling sorry for someone from your own point of view, offering unsolicited advice and passing judgment. Okay. Yes. So just the two thing, feeling sorry for someone from your own point of view, that's tough for me. So I fail in that area. I don't know if it's, plenty of y'all know about that as well, but I fail in that. So I'm just kind of trying to be transparent and hold myself accountable to show you guys, man, we the same, bro. I'm just up here with a channel talking. You could probably do the same thing. And we all have issues we got to work through. I'm not perfect. Y'all not perfect, but we know that. It is what it is. I ain't standing on no high horse, just trying to help as much as possible. All right. Where's my, hold on. Okay. And then the next one, I pointed out a bunch of them, but it was just some of them that I really wanted to focus on. The law of intuition. And I told you the mind reading shit that women always talking about. My intuition told me it was cheating, but yeah, I don't do well with guesstimates. Y'all heard that term before. I need time to assess the situation before I make decisions. Or if I experience through learned experiences, that allows me to make fast decisions because I've been in a similar situation before. Okay, so that is the law of intuition. And let me get this off here. So there's some leaders that just know the right thing to do, but I kind of liking myself to Batman. You know how Batman, I think it was Batman versus Superman, and people always say, well, if you give Batman time, he'll be able to figure out how to beat Superman. And it's quite ironic that my favorite superhero is Superman. However, the way that I learn and the way that I lead, if I have time, I need, that time to develop a plan so I won't have to redo something when I could have took the time to figure out the right way or the best possible way to do this. And then if it fails, go back to the drawing board, do it again. But some people are just naturally blessed with having that intuition of knowing the right answer right off the bat. That's not me. Okay. I could, my supervisor, he said, man, he's like, man, you would probably be a great lawyer because, he said you would be a great lawyer, but not the one that argues the case. You'll be the one that does the research and you would have everything in order. And I was like, well, yeah, that definitely makes sense because lawyers have to be like quick on their feet. You know what I'm saying? Like they, something quick with it. It's just like, yeah, well, I got this, but me, I need to make sure I have time. And that's why it's so easy for me to do these statistical research and present it to you guys. And I always say, this takes a little bit of time to put all this stuff together. That's because I'm actually researching and I can put shit together. I'm not one of those guys that likes to go off the cuff unless I'm doing emergency medicine, because in the military, they train you so well. And shout out to San Antonio College. If you guys didn't know, that's where I first became an EMT basic. I actually went to San Antonio College back in 2009, and I got my EMT basic certification from there. So fun fact about your boy. So yeah, but emergency medicine is a little bit different. You have to learn how to think on the fly, and you have to be able to not necessarily diagnose, but understand the best way possible to treat somebody, on the battlefield or when you're doing exercises. And like I said, the military provides so many training, scenarios, the rodeo and Cannon Air Force Base in New Mexico. We got Emerald was an Emerald Warrior in Florida. my God, I'm actually in the magazine. I'll show you a picture for that, doing some care while I got on chemical gear. But but yeah, it's they train you so well, like it's kind of like second nature to understand. But when it's like stuff like this, yeah, I'm definitely gonna use my time wisely to get my my points in order. So yeah, but you guys can look at this list, and if you have the book, you can identify where you actually lack in the 21 laws of leadership, because nobody does them perfectly. So, oh man, thank you, Pooh, man. We got 100 likes on this show too. I love this. Thank you for reminding me. So I just wanted to share that real quick. I'm putting myself on the spotlight, guys. I am working on it, ladies. I am working on it. My wife would tell you I am working on it, because sometimes it'd be itching. I'd be like Pookie, like, man, I need to say something. Because I know where the problem is. But she'll figure it out. She's smart. So let's see here. We'll go to that here in a second. But the first video that I want to show you guys, what is it? Was it the lid? Yeah, let's talk about the lid. And then I'll show you a prompt here, a little PDF from the book. But I want to start this off right. I want to get John Maxwell in here. And he's going to talk about the law of the lid. Let me bring this up. And thank you guys for the likes. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for the super chats. Appreciate that as well. Let's get to it. Fair use, fair use.
Law of the lid. The law of the lid says.
All right, so let's stop right there. Let's do it. Let's do an exercise. So he's going to be talking about this from a work standpoint, in the workforce. But I want us to translate what we hear into Black men being the leaders in the Black community, and which way we need to move forward as leaders, because this is going to tie in directly to these conversations, because it's typically used as like, oh, Black men, y'all the leaders, right? Y'all supposed to be leading us. And I keep saying, y'all ain't gonna like, the solutions that a lot of these Black men have already put in place. So remember, listen to what I'm saying here. Listen to the whole story. This is going to be great. And you guys will get it. You don't get it. You don't get it.
As leadership determines the level of effectiveness. Now, this is a huge law. And although I say one law is not more important than any other law, here's what I do want you to know. If I would start off with any law, I must start off with this one, and here's why. Because if you can buy into this law in the next 5 to 6 minutes as I talk to you, if you can buy into this law, you'll have a great passion to learn all the others, and let me explain why. I'm going to illustrate the importance of this law by using my hands. Watch this for a moment. It's kind of a visual illustration. Let's say, for example, my left hand here represents my ability to lead people. This is how well John Maxwell leads people.
And you guys can do this as he's speaking. If you at home and you got time or you free, put your hand up. You know what I'm saying? Let's play along. Play along, kids. Put your hand up and you'll show it. So this is your leadership level. Watch John. I'll let him cook.
This is my leadership lid. Okay. If this hand is my leadership, and if this hand is my business, in other words, my company, my department that I'm overseeing, okay, whatever I'm in charge of, here's what I want you to understand. My department, my business, my company, my organization, here's what I want you to understand. The lid of my leadership will never allow my business to get any higher. It'll never allow in other words, if this truly is my leadership lid, my company, my business, my department, my organization, whatever it is, it can never get any higher than the lid of my leadership.
Makes sense? Just wanted to check in. We still here, got 92 folks in here. This is good. I promise you guys will enjoy the ending.
In other words, your leadership, my leadership, our leadership lid, whatever it is going to literally control and determine the size of our business. Now, this is huge. If I were sitting where you are right now and I was taking notes, what I'd be saying to myself is something like this. Since the law of the lid says that my leadership is going to determine my effectiveness, The most important thing that I can do in my life is learn how to become a better leader.
And this is where this book comes in. So, and we can be honest with ourselves. Nobody watching, y'all. It's just me up here. So you can let yourselves know. And I believe in the book, he used a 1 to 10 example. And he may use it here if I remember correctly. But yeah, we can be honest with ourselves. If you're not at a 10 in regards to the leadership aspect and you have no way to quantify that, because a lot of folks work for themselves or they don't manage people, okay? Or you're not married. So you really don't know how well you can lead unless you get that experience. But if you do have that experience, you can rank it. All right, let's continue.
Let me explain to you. Remember, I've already said to you the laws can be learned. We've already realized that you can learn these laws, okay? In fact, you told your neighbor you can learn these laws. Now, let me explain to you what can happen. Let's say from a 1 to a 10, my leadership lid is a 4. Well, what that means is if I'm a 4 as a leader, then my business, my organization is going to be a 3. Now here's what's not going to happen. If I'm a 4 as a leader, my business or my organization is not going to keep going above that lid and go to a 4, 5, 6, 7. It's never happened. In the history of mankind, the organization has not grown beyond the lid of the leadership of that organization. The leadership contains and controls and determines the size of the business. Now, so if I'm a 4, you look like a great smart audience, so I'm going to ask you a question. If I'm a 4 as a leader, what's my organization going to come to that I lead? But what's my number?
So if he's let's backtrack on what we learned here. So if he's saying in this example that his leadership level is a 4, and we already know that your business can't go higher than your leadership level, then what is your business? What is that lid? Make sense? He'll explain. Here we go. Fair use.
3, 4 max. Isn't that right? Can't be any higher. What it's not going to be a 5, 6, or 7 because my lid is a 4. Now, the good news is I can learn to lead. So here's what I'm saying. If I'm a 4 as a leader and I've got a 3, 3.5, maybe, max, maybe a 4, I doubt, company or organization, here's what I want you to see. If I go from a 4 and I start learning leadership to a 5, to a 6, to a 7, all of a sudden, now look what happens. I have capacity for growth. I have potential for growth. My company can go from a 3 to a 4 to a 5 to a 6. In other words, here's what I'm saying. You can literally double the size of your department. You can just double the size of your company by just lifting your leadership lid. Mm-hmm. And every one of you here, everyone that would watch these tapes, I want to say this to you. You can lift your leadership lid. But everything, remember this, everything rises and falls on leadership. By the way, where I learned this, when I lived in San Diego, California, I had a fellow by the name of Don Stevenson who was my mentor. And he was the president of Global Hospitality, and that Global Hospitality literally would buy, they would buy resorts that were going bankrupt. Resorts.
Okay, now I want you to really start thinking about the leadership conversations in the Black community. Using this hotel example, start thinking about this. All right, this is good.
Like La Costa, Greenleaf, any kind of major resort across America that was going under financially. What we found was that this company, Global Hospitality, they would come in and they would buy the company. Okay, now get the picture. Here we are. I'm sitting out with Don Stevenson about every other month. He's mentoring me, and I asked him one day. I said, Don, when you go buy a bankrupt company, a resort that's going under, are there some things that you always do? And I'll never forget. He looked at me and said, John, he said, yes, there is. He said, when we go into a bankrupt company, he said, there are 2 things we always do. And I looked at him and said, 2 things? He said, yes, absolutely. He said, the 2 things we always do is, he said, first of all, we train all the people that are in the service business, the employees. In other words, the guys that are out there when the cars pull up and they're unloading the luggage. He said, we train them all in relational skills. In other words, we train them, we talk to them about how to remember names, how to get along with people. And he said, the reason we do that, the waiters, the waitresses, the people behind the checkout counter, on the grounds, and he said, what we found is 90% of the people who do not return to the resort after their first visit had a bad experience with the employees of the organization.
Okay. And this is both for Black men and Black women. Remember we talked about first impressions and how important they are. And then also if you have a bad experience, people don't come back. Make sense? Y'all starting to get what I'm saying here? It's going to be good. Here we go.
They weren't treated with great respect, or they weren't taken care of well. And so he said, what we do is we would go through and we train all the people. Now what I'm doing, I'm sitting here and I'm taking notes, and so I'm writing down to me, make sure that you've trained all the people in your organization. Okay. He said, the second thing we do is, he said, every time we take over a bankrupt company, he said, we fire the president.
Fire the president. Let's continue.
And I don't write that one down. And I look at him and say, what do you mean you fire the president? He said, John, he said, every time we take over companies going under, he said, we fire the president. I said, well, that seems a little harsh, isn't it? I mean, don't you first go see him, you know what I mean? Go sit in the office, light a fire in the fireplace, hold hands, do a little kumbaya, you know what I'm talking about? No. He said, John, he said, we fire the president. And I'm pressing him a little bit more, and I can remember, because he was eating the salad. He was just looking down, eating the salad, talking to me. And he stops, puts his fork down. Now he's looking at me. He's a little bit ticked that I'm not catching this, And he's looking at me. He said, John, listen to me. He said, if the president were any good, the company wouldn't be going bankrupt.
And I'm talking about this from relationships. And I know some people are like, well, yeah, man, it's, you fire the president or whatever. But the responsibility that I was telling you guys in regards to the military, my military examples a couple weeks back, this applies here. When I was telling you about the DUIs that my troops got, they weren't responsible. I was responsible. Okay? So let's continue.
The first thing we do is fire the president. I remember finally saying, fire the president. You know what he was teaching me that day? He was teaching me the law of the lid. What he was really saying to me is that it's an absolute fact that in any organization, everything rises and falls on leadership. And the leadership of that organization will determine the size of that organization. And so therefore, when you have a good company that's thriving and doing great business and excelling, you've got good leadership. And when you've got a company that's stagnant and it's going downhill and it's not going well, I can promise you, you have bad leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Now, let me tell you what that law did for me as a leader. That day, when I walked out from the table, after listening to Don talk to me, that day, what I realized was that I was responsible as a leader.
Responsibility and accountability go hand in hand. And as I stated before, this law of the lid, I want black men and black women to listen to. Yes, black men are the leaders. And like you said, responsibility. If you have a marriage or a relationship that is failing, then it is your job to either fire yourself or fire that person. Make sense? So this is how this all trickles down in regards to the relationship. If you have a bad relationship as a man, it's not on the woman to determine, hey, I'm going to go ahead and fire you. You should be the one doing that because you matter as well, right? So you got to take responsibility for failed relationships, just as I took responsibility for my first failed marriage with my daughter's mother. Okay? Even though, and I'm going to be clear here, we know that women do dirt. But again, we were the ones that picked that woman. So now it's our job to make the decision moving forward. And that's where black men in leadership get misconstrued in the black community because they like using it as a slight, saying that you guys are the leaders of the community. So that's why we act like this. But you guys have to remember that the solution falls on you. So what you going to do? If you are understanding that you have bad employees, then what you need to do with them employees? And as I said before, the black community is not going to like the solutions that these new age leaders of the black community are putting into place. That responsibility falls on you as black men. In order to get the black community in a better, to a better place, if you still buy into it as such, then some people, they're just going to have to be left by the wayside. They got to get fired. It is what it is. And sometimes that may be you. All right. And that's when you start to build up those leadership skills to become better at, operating in a relationship. All right. It makes sense. I hope everybody quiet because they listen. Let's continue. Fair use.
That I had to now take responsibility for my organization. I had to take responsibility for my people. I had to take responsibility for the success of my company. That I couldn't go and blame someone else. I read a statement recently that's just powerful. Here's what it is. It's easier to go from failure to success than it is to go from excuses to success. That's a tremendous statement. And whenever as a leader,
you can't use excuses, guys. And I get it. I know we see a lot of dirt going on in the Black community, man. But again, the more, excuses that we have, that just lets me know that you're not putting anything into practice. And I'll give you some perfect examples. These videos that float around TikTok when you see a woman swinging on the dude, when you see a woman cheat on a man or something like that. My first thought is not, oh man, that's just bad. She just swung on this dude. My first thought is, what did he do about it? Did he leave? If he didn't leave, I don't want to see the video because anything else is excuses. I've been with this woman for so long. She just hit me once or she just cheated on me once and I'm going to work it out. I don't want to hear shit because the only thing that you can do after a situation like that is to fire that employee. If you're not willing to do that, don't send me the video. Make sense? I'm just trying to help.
begin to make excuses for why my company is not doing well or why my organization is not doing well. And I began to go and say, well, you know what, I mean, we're in the wrong location and we got the wrong people. And listen, cut the excuses out. If you're the leader, learn to lead.
That's it.
And take responsibility for that leadership. Here's the good news. You can grow as a leader. You can become a better leader than you are right now. That I promise you. But take responsibility. Because the law of the lid says the organization or the company cannot rise any higher than your level of leadership. The law of the lid is a huge law. So if you'll notice in your workbook, I have some questions. Just some simple questions. Questions that I want you on your own to ask yourself.
So, and these are in the books, guys, but he's actually about to rattle them off.
Questions such as, what is the lid number on my leadership?
And this
From
is
a 1 to
something
10, where am I? Question number 2. I love this one. Would those around me agree with my assessment?
So if you're in a relationship, this could be a fun thing that you can do with your wife or your girlfriend. Or ladies, I mean, you know, you work in a position where you have that, you can ask. We used to do those types of surveys in the military. I don't know if y'all did that in, you know, civilian world, but they used to have like surveys and little games and shit where you get to rate the leadership of the squadron or the, you know, the group. We used to do those all the time. And yeah, it was pretty funny. So let's continue.
Get your leadership team together. Hey, by the way, let me just say this. If, you know, when you're kind of evaluating yourself, if you put down that you're probably from a 1 to a 10, you're probably like a 9.5. And you ask your team, you know, you get your team together and say, you know, what do you think my number is? And they say you're a 2.5. You're probably missing something.
Yeah.
So let those around you evaluate and assess your leadership. And then question number 3, what is my plan to increase my lid number, my leadership lid number? How am I going to grow it?
And it starts by reading books like this and also getting more experience. And we'll talk about it here later, but let's continue.
Because I have found that this is absolutely key. The ability to prepare and do curriculum like we're doing here so that you can grow as a leader. I mean, how am I going to grow my leadership lid? And question number 4, what are the lid numbers of those that work with me? That's a great question. Those that are around you close, because one of the laws we'll study in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is the law of the inner circle. And the law of the inner circle says those closest to me determine the level of my success.
And we talk about that in these spaces all the time. You know, Kevin Samuels with the high value pillars, he was talking about being useful to the group. you know, in your inner circle and all this type of stuff, that actually matters, guys. Because the same way that y'all, this is funny, the way that y'all judge, like I've heard men say this, if a woman hangs around with, let's say she has 5 friends, and you're dating this woman is your girlfriend, and every time she come back to you, she have a different story about one of those 5 friends being a hoe. What do y'all say? Birds of a feather flock together. So if all these other women just running around, but your girlfriend is the only one that's hanging around all these 304s, and she ain't involved in none of that. It's just them. You know, let me tell you what my girlfriend did. And you sitting there like, oh yeah, that's what she did. What was you doing? Was you running around? Oh, I ain't like that though. That's what's funny on social media. No woman has never been a runaround on social media. You ask these questions. I've been celibate for 2 years and I don't be doing stuff like that. It's so funny. Oh my God, it's hilarious. But yeah, you got to remember that. Birds of a feather. Same thing applies with your inner circle.
So what are the lid numbers of those around me? And then question number 5, what is my plan to increase their lid numbers? What's my plan? How am I going to increase the lid numbers of those around me? Law number 1, the law of the lid.
How'd y'all enjoy that, man? My goodness. Man, that was amazing video. And like I said, it just goes into the book. He breaks this down. I'm going to show you the PDF here in a second. But as leaders of the Black community, and I know, and I keep saying this, the Black community likes to throw it in Black men's face, and you're the leaders, right? You're supposed to be doing what you're supposed to do. And like I said, Black men have been steadily improving in certain areas that the Black community is not aware of. However, when it comes to relationships, you as the leaders of the relationship have the responsibility of finding the best solution. And sometimes that best solution ain't working it out. You guys just have to pick up and go. And you know who does that, better than anybody else? Black women. They divorce 70%. I mean, that's but women in general, that was messed up. I mean, it's true, but it's messed up. Women in general will leave at the drop of a hat. If something ain't, what do they say? Some buzzwords out there, it's not suiting me, so I got to go. Men, y'all got to get, you got to go hard. If you're not being fulfilled in a relationship, you got to get out of that mindset like our, people in the past, our ancestors in the past, just making it work. You have to really vet these women and make sure that you getting what you need out of a relationship too. Y'all seen me harping about reciprocity. I was kind of heated because that lady on the Pop the Balloon, I don't think she understood that men are supposed to be reciprocated in relationships as well. And I was like, man, why they don't know this? But she was young, and I was like, well, maybe it's because like social media and shit. And all the young men in the chat was like, media men, that's how they are out here. And I was like, why am I explaining reciprocity to grown women? And y'all was like, hey, that's how they are. So yeah, man. So you have the choice, you have the responsibility to figure out the best way forward. And like I said, some people just gonna have to get cut off, man. So when you hear the Black community talk about leadership, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to rehabilitate people that can't be saved. That makes sense? And I'm talking not for saved in regards to like life-wise, but just thought process, relationship-wise. Everybody can't be saved, bro. Go back to me talking about the rule of 10. 3 people for, 3 people against, 4 people undecided. Okay? Our goal over here in these spaces is not to try and change the minds of Black women who hate Black men, Black men who hate Black men, which is crazy. I have to say that, but it's true. Our job over here is not to try and get them to understand our point of view. My goal on this channel is just to get the information out there. They can either accept it or not. I'm not going to argue with you, okay? Because you ain't coming with me anyway. And I pray that y'all start to adopt these types of mindsets so you can understand that it's causing you more, it's more detrimental to your health if you're trying to talk people off of the ledge. If they don't believe it and they don't look at statistics and be like, nah, I still want to believe that Black men are trash. Let them go. It is what it is. All right. Let's see here. Did I get the super chats? Cool. All right. So so let's get to. All right. So this is gonna be fun. I can't every time any chance I get to speak on the military. It's always great. But we're gonna start here with the experience portion from the law of, I believe this is law of influence. But I got a whole series of little small clips from the book that you guys will definitely enjoy. So fair use, thank you for sending in the super chats. We got one here, and also liking the video. Rad Talk, what up, though? 499 super chat says she don't want to be saved. Don't save her. That's damn right, man. And that don't just go for your romantic relationships. This is friends, family. Sometimes you got to cut them off, man. There's a lot of examples, especially about friends. You ever had those friends that's always negative? Like it's always something going on, and the only time they call you is if something is bad something bad is happening, either in their lives or somebody else's life. It's always strife and shit like that. I hate friends like that. They call you to listen, trauma dump or whatever the hell they doing. I don't like that. Like, man, call me with some good news for a change. Like, God, dog, it's got to cut your ass off. What did Jalen Rose say in his book? He used to have Jalen Rose in his Got to Give the People What They Want book. He said his voicemail used to say, if you're not calling to add or multiply in my life, if you're calling to add or multiply in my life, leave a message. If you're trying to subtract or divide, don't leave a message. And it made sense because it's like those people that's always negative. Like, bro, stop calling me with all this, subtraction shit and trying to divide people. Add or multiply. That's all I want to hear from y'all. So shout out to Jalen Rose, man. Let's see here. All right, here we go. Let's get to it. Fair use.
Where you've been. The greater the challenges you faced as a leader in the past, the more likely followers are to give you a chance to lead in the present. Experience doesn't guarantee credibility, but it encourages people to give you a chance to prove that you're capable. Past success, what you've done. Nothing speaks to followers like a good track record. When I accepted my first leadership position, I had no track record. I couldn't point to past successes to help people believe in me. But by the time I went to my second position, I possessed a positive track record. Every time I extended myself, took a risk, and succeeded, followers had another reason to trust my leadership ability and to listen to what I had to say.
All right, so let's start right there. And that was just experience and how much experience plays a part. And going back to the military examples, one thing that I used to watch every time I would go to a different base or what I would look at senior leaders' offices. And if you guys know what I'm talking about, or using the military, you know what I'm talking about. When you go into before I got into the position, senior leaders like commanders, officers, the people that weren't in the field with you, their offices always used to have all their awards displayed, the coins that they have, the leadership awards, and you just look around the office and you see all these, these awards, and you'd be like, oh my God, this person is so accomplished. That's them displaying their experience because they're not in the position to be out there in the field with you, but they're going to let you know that, hey, I'm experienced because I've gotten all these awards and you can see them on full display. So when you come in my office, don't come to my office thinking that I ain't been in the shit. You know what I'm saying? Some sort of speak. It's like, yeah, you can see all the stuff that I did. So I earned this position. And they don't have to tell you that, but that's how people project their leadership experience or their job or, I guess, expertise. And it was funny, I forgot to put the picture up there. I remember when I first started this channel, I was doing a series called like 39 and Retired. And I had all my accomplishments on my wall in the back, like all my degrees and certifications. I'm like, bro, you don't need to do that, man. You already got the experience. Take that shit off and do a show right. So, but yeah, it used to be so funny. where you go into offices and you see, especially the coins. Man, I got a bunch of coins too, but the people that used to have them like displayed in their own little case, and like, oh man, this person is so, so experienced. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then also another example of this is the difference between Air Force lieutenant and Army lieutenant. And since, the Air Force and Army sister services or whatever, we worked hand in hand with the Army so much. And I got to learn the differences between Army and Air Force officers. And I'm going to explain that here in a second. But first, we're going to watch this quick video. Here we go.
Positioned at the entry level, a second lieutenant commands a platoon of 50.
So just off the bat, you can see what we're talking about the Army. But just listen to the differences between a second lieutenant in the Army and a second lieutenant, first lieutenant in the Army, and a second lieutenant, first lieutenant in the Air Force. Pay attention.
Second lieutenant. Positioned at the entry level, a second lieutenant commands a platoon of 15 to 50 soldiers or work as a staff officer, gaining essential leadership experience. All second lieutenants rotate between these roles, but commanding a platoon is the key leadership position required.
Did you hear that? So this is an Army second lieutenant. The key thing is leadership. All right, they keep mentioning it. Leadership. Let's continue.
For promotion. They typically serve in this capacity for 12 to 24 months before advancing to first lieutenant. As a platoon leader, a second lieutenant works closely with senior non-commissioned officers, including a platoon sergeant and squad leaders, who help execute orders and training plans. Their primary role is to plan, supervise, and lead. First lieutenant. Serving as either a platoon leader, commanding 15 to 50 soldiers, or a staff officer, first lieutenants continue to develop their tactical expertise and leadership skills.
You keep hearing leadership.
While both roles are essential, leading a platoon is the key requirement for promotion to captain and the primary purpose of an officer's commission. First lieutenants typically gain platoon leadership experience before transitioning to staff roles, where they prepare for higher responsibilities. Second lieutenant.
So this is the Air Force.
Second lieutenant is the lowest commissioned officer rank in the United States Air Force. Officers rarely stay at this rank long before promotion, and those commissioned from the enlisted ranks or college graduates may skip it entirely.
See, now you start to hear college graduates and people transitioning from enlisted to officer.
Second lieutenants often serve as flight commanders or assistant flight commanders, overseeing units that vary in size. They may also hold administrative roles at the squadron, group, or occasionally wing level, particularly in personnel, maintenance, or security forces. Those selected for rated training, such as pilots, combat systems officers, remotely piloted aircraft officers, or air battle managers, spend much of their time in training, with no command responsibilities until they complete their programs.
No command responsibilities. Have you heard the word leader once?
First lieutenant. A first lieutenant is the second lowest officer rank. Promotion to first lieutenant in the Air Force follows Department of Defense policies, typically occurring after 24 months of service as a second lieutenant. First lieutenants often serve as flight commanders or officers in charge, overseeing up to 100 personnel, depending on their career field.
Overseeing?
In flying units, first lieutenants are typically rated officers focused on flight duties.
All right, so that was it. It's pretty crazy, right? Same rank, but different services. You got Army and you got Air Force. In the Army, the way they describe their lieutenants, every other word was leader. Lead. You need to be able to lead. I'm going to give you this battalion. You got to lead. You got to do it. And the Air Force is like where you're going to oversee as a flight commander or assistant flight commander. That's why I like using that example, because people from the outside are like, oh, it's the same rank. But they actually have different roles and different services. And so I remember when I was deployed to Balad Air Base, Iraq. And we were meeting with a second lieutenant veterinarian who was in the Army, but he was also a convoy leader. And that was crazy to me. He was a second lieutenant. And the way I viewed it is that Army officers are taught to be a soldier first, and then their actual job comes second. But Air Force officers are taught to be subject matter experts in their jobs first, and then airmen second. Does that make sense, guys? And I think that the Air Force is like that for the most part. And it's a distinct difference. Like anybody in the Army can get called up to do like convoy duty or something like that. You have to be a soldier first. You got to go qualify, shoot and go to these different training exercises. And it was so fascinating to me because it would never be a time where you would see one of our Air Force veterinarians being a convoy leader or a squad leader or something like that. And it was just so funny because the guy, we had to go to him because I was serving as preventative medicine. And, rabies is like it's a big thing when you're overseas. So if somebody has an encounter with like a rabid animal, we got to see the veterinarian. So he was the actual veterinarian, but he was a convoy leader. And I was like, what the hell? Like, how does this work? Because he had all this gear. And I was like, why is this vet have all this gear? It was just crazy to me. And that's when I started to figure out the differences between our, I guess the different services. So was anybody in the Army here? You can kind of give your experience as well, but working with the Army for probably like the equivalent of maybe 4 years of my military career, working, directly with the Army or under an Army command or Army, commander or something like that. Yeah, it was like that. And it was pretty fascinating to see the differences between the forces. So yeah, I don't know if y'all noticed that, but let's get back to the video. Here we go.
Ability, what you can do. The bottom line for followers is what a leader is capable of accomplishing. They want to know whether the person can lead their team to victory. Ultimately, that's the reason people will listen to you and acknowledge you as their leader. As soon as they no longer believe you can deliver, they will stop listening and following. If you want to...
Let me stop it right there because we're going to talk about the influence of organization of volunteers. But I do have something that, especially on the ability thing, and this is, like I said, hold myself accountable. When we talk about these different rules or different laws, at the tail end of my military career, I felt that I would have been doing the Air Force a disservice if I simply became a manager. And when I started to feel that, that's the day that I pushed the button to retire, which actually shocked my supervisor. Because I always felt that the Air Force, the Air Force saved my life in a lot of different instances. And once I felt that I wasn't operating under that mindset of being a leader, then I knew it was time to go because I was tired. And that's being completely honest with you guys. Sometimes when you're on the tail end of your career, you can start to feel it. And it's like, damn, man, I'm not operating at my highest level. I may be burnt out. And I was absolutely burnt out. And when I say, the differences between a leader and a manager or a boss and a leader, you guys have seen these pictures floating around before. Hold on, I'll show you. I'm pretty sure everybody has seen these types of pictures. So you see that? So the leader is out front, and you see the work in the back. Everybody is pulling, and like I said, when I joined the military, it was leader all up until the tail end of my career. Then I started to become a manager, which is just simply telling people what to do because you've had so much experience doing it and you can just simply tell people what to do. I was just sitting back, you know what I'm saying? And that's how I knew that it was time for me to go because like I said, I would have been doing the Air Force a disservice because I know that I was capable of more, but I was burnt out. I was tired. I was going through therapy. I got diagnosed with all these different types of allergies that I didn't know that I had. And it was just time to go, man. I was tired. And I was like, if I would have stayed in and just kind of skated through the next couple of 3-4 years, it wouldn't have been worth it. And I probably would have, kind of tarnished my career. And that's just me being completely honest. I know a lot of folks like to put it like, oh, man, I've always been a leader, bro. I promise you. Sometimes you get to a point where you just tired. It's like, man, I got to do it. And like I said, I had to do the Air Force a favor and retire because I was like, yeah, it's not going to be good. So, and I see this picture floating around too. So this boss versus leader. See that? Telling people what to do from his desk, but the leader is out front. And you'll feel it, man. You'll start to feel it. And it's like, yes, what's that? It's an acronym out there in the military we use. It's called ROAD, Retired on Active Duty. Have you ever heard that before? It's those people that's just there and they're not doing anything. Before I got to that point, I had to push that button. I was not going to be one of these, because if I'm not operating at the highest level, it ain't going to be good for anybody. So, yeah. Let's see here. Okay, let's get back.
To lead through influence alone,
this is good.
Try leading in an organization of volunteers. Now, why do I say that? Because in volunteer organizations, there is no leverage.
Mm-hmm.
There's no rank or title to fall back on. There's no pay to withhold and no benefits or perks. Employees are pretty cooperative when their livelihood is at stake, but in voluntary organizations, the thing that works is leadership in its purest form, which is influence. Psychologist Harry A. Overstreet observed, the very essence of all power to influence lies in getting the other person to participate. Followers in voluntary organizations cannot be forced to get on board.
Man.
If the leader has no influence with them, they won't follow. Recently at a meeting where I was speaking to a group of company presidents and CEOs, one participant asked for advice on finding the best leaders in his organization. My advice was to ask candidates to lead in a volunteer organization for 6 months. If those leaders can get people to follow them when they have no leverage, then you know that they can influence others. That is the mark of true leadership ability.
Let's stop right there. So I want to explain a story to you guys, and this is one of my favorite parts of the book, the influence, and then influencing people that don't, you don't have a hold of, which is like in the military. Military, when you become a supervisor, you're just given troops, and they have to leave or they have fear of losing their job, so to speak. But when you lead in volunteer roles, it is, oh my God, it is the toughest thing. And I feel it is definitely the ultimate form of leadership. The ultimate form of leadership is when people aren't obligated to follow you out of fear of reprisal or losing your job, which is the military. And when I worked at the Pentagon, I had a colonel who had taken a liking to me in my career, and he told me that he told me, and he also encouraged me to volunteer, for that reason alone, to try and lead people that don't have fear of reprisal or losing their job. So I started to volunteer at the Alexandria Health Department. So after work, I would go to the Alexandria Health Department. It was a long screening process too. You get like a letter and everything, saying that you are a Alexandria Health Department leader. And man, let me tell y'all, it is tough trying to lead civilians while you're in the military, because that fear of reprisal isn't as strong as it is in the military. You know what I'm saying? Because they ain't got to be here. So folks would show up late, unprepared, without certain things that they're supposed to have. But you have to remember that you still need, their help. So you have to work through it, and you have to figure out ways to lead these people in the right direction. And that's where your leadership skills are tested the most, in my opinion. If people won't follow you, then, you really not a leader. And that's the best way that you can kind of gauge your leadership ability. And also in relationships, you don't want to experiment on women. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking to the guys here. But you learn sometimes through trial and error. And hopefully you have an understanding partner to, where she can understand that, man, I'm not an expert in everything. No man comes into a marriage as an expert leader. Okay. And the reason why, marriages last long is because you have an understanding wife. Seriously. That's pretty much all it is. It's just like when a woman has her first child, she ain't never been a mother, but somehow she figured out I mean, well, most of the women who have kids, they figure it out, right? So let me just be clear. Nobody is perfect just because they walking down that damn aisle. You still, in some aspects, trying to figure it out. Okay? So yeah, but that try volunteering and try leading people that don't have to be there. Just like y'all ain't got to be here, but you're here. I greatly appreciate it. So thank you. Let's continue.
I love the leadership proverb that says, he who thinks he leads but has no followers is only taking a walk. If you can't influence people, then they will not follow you. And if people won't follow you, you are not a leader. That's the law of influence. No matter what anybody else may tell you, remember that leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less.
All it is.
When I read you the chapter on the law of influence,
watch this.
It reminded me of my earlier days in trying to break through this leadership market with people.
Okay, so let me stop right there. So management versus leadership. I have a video clip in here, and I want you guys to identify who is the manager and who is the leader. All right, so we got 90 people in here. Pooh Man said we got 34 likes. Thank you. We got about 90, 87 people in here. Pay attention to this part, and I want you guys to identify the leader and the manager. Okay? Let's continue.
You see, if you go back to the 1970s, even to the mid-1980s, if you went into a bookstore, you wouldn't find any leadership books at all. You would find management books. Now, the reason that management books were so popular is because during the 1950s, 60s, 70s, things moved at a fairly regulated pace. But then as time began to just speed things up and life began to have to go a little bit more fast forward, people began to understand that management is all about control and leadership is all about vision and foresight. And pretty soon people said, if we're going to lead well, we can't just manage what we know today, but we have to get out in front and think about tomorrow and cast vision for tomorrow and begin to anticipate tomorrow. When I teach about leadership, I say that really leaders have only one thing in common. They see more than other people, and they see before other people. It's the seeing before other people that basically turned bookstores all around America from management books to leadership books. The ability to see a little quicker, a little sooner, allowed people to have this, what I call the leadership edge. So when I began teaching leadership, they thought that leadership was title and position. They thought, honestly, that leadership was a noun. And I said, no, really, it's a verb. It demands action. This was a large barrier that took me literally maybe 12, 15 years to overcome. But slowly people began to understand that leadership's not title, it's not position, it's influence. Nothing more, nothing less.
Billy also drinks from a vine, which shows how adept he is at surviving in a harsh environment. He's the tracker, and I think this might be a leftover from the original script with that Native American character. The novelization of the movie reveals he's actually able to sense the predator, with it almost being like a sixth sense. So stuff like this with a branch, it just shows how he's in touch with nature.
Billy, you know something. What is it?
I'm scared, Pancho.
You ain't afraid of no man.
There's something out there waiting for us, and it ain't no man. Billy, what the hell is wrong with you? There's something in those trees.
Today,
let's stop right there. One of my favorite movies, and somebody mentioned it last live stream, so I wanted to put that in there. Between the Arnold Schwarzenegger's character Dutch and Billy, which one is the leader and which one is the manager? Because in the beginning, shout outs to heavy spoilers, they were telling, Billy is qualified at tracking. He knows how to, hunt down people or whatever, right? So they look to him as a person to let us know let them know what's going on. You see, in the first guy, he was like, Billy, you know something. Why are they asking Billy and not Dutch, Arnold Schwarzenegger? Who's the leader and who's the manager? Let me see if anybody answered this. I'll give you a second. Who's the leader? Who's the leader and who's the manager between Dutch and Billy? Let me see. Okay, I see Dante Bryan said Billy. Billy what? Which one is Billy? Okay, there you go. Dutch is the manager. And, it was just going, building off of the leadership, leader versus manager. So Dutch was the manager because he understood that Billy has some sort of sixth sense, right? Because what he was telling them, he wasn't taught in school. Yes, they have what's the school in the Army where they teach you how to track? Was it sapper? Do y'all get that training in sapper courses? Who's in the Army? But you get certain training on how to, identify certain things, but not what Billy had. The manager, which is Dutch, recognized that. So that's why when they were in, having an issue, they kept asking Billy, what the hell is going on? Because Arnold, Dutch, knew where to put the person that had the best skills, which is essentially managing. So instead of him doing it himself, he's like, nah, I got a leader here that's better suited in this position. So I'm going to, ask him and put my pride aside as the commander of the team, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to look to Billy and he's going to try and let us know what the hell is going on. All right. So that's how you differentiate. But the good thing is they show, Arnold is actually there, with them. Okay. So he's a leader in his own right as well. He's leading the team. But in that situation, he was the manager. Billy was the leader. Okay. So that was pretty good. There you go. Good on you, Jay Renard. I love that movie. All right, let's continue.
The challenge, I think, is with the social culture.
Here we go.
With social media being as it is, a lot of people think, well, look at all the followers I have, I must be a leader. But that's not true. There's a difference between people reading or following you and giving you thumbs up or thumbs down on social media where they'll never meet you and you'll never have to lead them through any area. There's a big difference between that and being able to influence people voluntarily to follow you. But the moment that you understand that leadership is influence, and the moment that you and I understand to gain influence is to intentionally add value to people. That's where I begin. When somebody raises their hand and says, hey, John, how do I increase my influence? It's very simple. Intentionally add value to people every day and in every way. The moment that you do that, that influence net begins to widen and broaden and bring more people in, and you begin to understand and live out this incredible law of influence. So my challenge to you before we get to chapter 3 is just start today, intentionally adding value to the people. Trust me, it'll help and serve you well as a leader.
Adding value. And we talk, about that a lot in these spaces. You're adding value to these spaces. I pride myself on trying to do the best I can to try and help influence people to, do certain things the right way. If I could say that much. And and I'm pretty sure you guys have noticed that, but that's one of my favorite additions to the book because it absolutely applies to social media. I actually read that part before I became a social media influencer. And I know people shy away from that term, but it's fitting, man. We ain't got no choice. We up here talking. I mean, it is what it is. So I can't really run from that, but adding value aspect on this channel, man, I'm not a money influencer or a relationship influencer, but what I can or did influence is a lot of you to, follow my channel. Y'all found it somewhere or another. And, my channel is simply to learn more about the contributions of Black men to our community, which is severely, overlooked. And I've also been able to influence some of you to take your health more seriously and the importance of knowing your STI status. That's one of the main things, and I got some pictures here. But in order to influence people, I need to be able to practice what I preach. Because if I was a fat nigga up here telling you all to lose weight, y'all look at me crazy. Or if I was out here running around and catching all kinds of diseases, I would be considered a hypocrite. Okay? So that's why, I put out the challenge for, the money challenge. I did the health challenge, and I also keep reminding you guys to get your, STI panels. And again, for my job, I usually travel and I get all my, my global health checkups prior to leaving. We have to do a pre and post. So I get all my blood work done. That includes the STI panels, everything. Because if anything changes, if I go to one of these countries, then we can start tracking what's prevalent in that area and what I got sick from. Okay? So yeah, so and then of course, if I was running around, that would be an issue. But yeah. But yeah, you get all your panels, and every time I go get my checks, you know who's in there with me? My wife. Yeah, she's trying to make sure that I'm good. So I don't go to the hospital unless she's there. If y'all didn't know that. So because I'm scared, man. I don't want no problem. So hold on, let me see. Just like I said, hold myself accountable. Here we go. So yeah, so I showed you guys this earlier. So this is the fitness challenge that I did. So in order to be an influencer, you got to be able to practice what you preach. And that's, where I'm at now. And then also, bam. So this should encourage y'all to go get your STI panels. I just did this on June 5th. All right. Y'all see that? And like I said, I'm married, so it probably don't mean much to y'all. I ain't running around. But this is my panel. So with me having this up here, guys, I want to encourage you to know your status. And like I said, I'm a married guy. I don't really have to do this. You know what I'm saying? I trust my woman. I ain't running around, but I do it because I have to, for one, for work, and also to encourage y'all to do the same thing. Make sense? All right. Go get your checkups, man. All right, let's get back to it.
Is that most people overestimate the importance of events and underestimate the power of processes. We want quick fixes. We want the compounding effect that Ann Schreiber received over 50 years, but we want it in 50 minutes. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate events. They can be effective catalysts. But if you want lasting improvements, if you want power, then rely on process. Consider the difference between the two. For example.
Oh, my bad, Dante Bryant. $2 super chat said that's one. Oh, yeah, you're one ugly mother. Let me get that drop in there.
Black man, it's shaking on a mother tape. Black man trying to make it in society. Sitting on hip cause I know they want to rob. Black man, it's shaking on a mother tape. Black man, we need all that.
Shout out to Dante Bryant with that super chat. Appreciate it.
An event encourages decisions, where a process encourages development. An event motivates people. I think a process matures people. An event is a calendar issue. A process becomes a culture issue. An event challenges people. A process changes people. Let me put it maybe like this. An event is easy. A process, well, that's a lot more difficult. If I need to be inspired to take steps forward, then I'll attend an event. If I want to improve, then I'll engage in a process and stick with it. As a young leader, I discovered the law of process when I learned that I had to keep growing if I wanted to become a good leader. More than 50 years have gone by since then, and what I've discovered is that consistency compounds.
So real quick, and I know, some of y'all work in corporate and stuff like that, and they send you to these different conferences and events. When I was first in the military, we used to look at those events as a vacation, and it's sad that people used to do this, but every time they would schedule some sort of conference, people be like, oh yeah, it's in Orlando. We used to have this one conference in Orlando. It was like a readiness conference, but I went there. That was my first time going to it, and went to Orlando. And I'm attending all the, the required meetings that I'm supposed to attend. And then I start looking around throughout the week, and it wasn't that many people there. Like, what the hell? I know I'm supposed to be in here with a couple of the people. But what happened was that people were using that as vacation, and they just didn't go to the meetings, and they would bring their family and go to Disney World. And I was like, why am I the only one in this damn meeting when people out there partying and stuff like that? But I didn't know that it was actually a reason to, why they were sending us to these types of conferences, so we can get inspired to put new policies or, processes in place. That's what they're actually for, guys. If y'all didn't know that, when you go to these different conferences, it's not just to relax and have like a nice little TDY or a break from work. You're supposed to be getting, valuable skills from the events, and then you create processes based off that. Okay. So it took me a while to figure that out, but.
By working to grow a little every day, I've grown a lot over the years. It takes time for the little things to add up to big things. Too often we get discouraged because we don't see great leaps in our growth. What we need to remember is that most changes occur gradually.
I talked about this. Celebrate the small wins. Give people their flowers while they're here.
It's like trying to freeze room temperature water. If you put water outside on a cold winter day, it will start changing from 75 degrees Fahrenheit down to 74, 73, 72, but it looks like nothing is happening. The water temperature goes down into the 60s, 50s, 40s, and still it looks like nothing is happening. But it keeps dropping. 37, 36, 35, 34, 33. So much time has gone by that you're ready to give up. Then it drops down to 32 degrees, and a major change occurs. It's a breakthrough change. You see, leaders are the same way. They need to keep learning and growing, even if they don't see the payoff. Sometimes we are so close to having a compounding victory, and we don't even know it. If we give up before the change, we miss it. Persistence pays and consistency compounds. As martial arts legend Bruce Lee said, long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity. Leadership is developed daily, not in a day. That is the reality dictated by the law of process. Benjamin Disraeli asserted, "The secret of success in life is for man to be ready for his time when it comes."
You hear that? Let me go back before this video plays. Be ready when it's your time. Okay? Y'all in for a treat here. This is one of my favorite stories. Here we go.
In a day. That is the reality dictated by the law of process. Benjamin Disraeli asserted, "The secret of success in life is for man to be ready for his time when it comes."
Here comes Andre Ingram.
32-year-old Andre Ingram never played in the NBA, but Christian, he spent a lot of time in the minor league. Ingram with a shot.
What equity as he gets another look from three.
And that has been rare. Here comes Ingram. He goes by. Capella hits a nice run. Ingram, three, good! It's Ingram moving inside on Green with a floater. Ingram, three, yes! And a lot of applause for Andre Ingram.
Hey, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Shout out to Sugar Free and Andre Ingram. Y'all remember that story with old boy Andre, man? That's what, even though we lost that game, and I don't usually watch games where the Lakers lose, but that was one of my favorite Los Angeles Lakers stories, man. It's and this goes into, well, I'll say this. The reason why I like boxing is because the goal of boxing is hit and not get hit, right? So no boxer does this perfectly throughout their career. Unless, you know what I'm saying, you may knock a person out with one punch and not get hit. Okay, fine. But throughout your whole career, no. So you have to remember that. Hit and not get hit. Every boxer is taught the same thing. I think, in my opinion, Floyd Mayweather is the best boxer of all time. And the reason why I say that is the same reason why I think Michael Jordan is the best basketball player of all time. And I'm going to explain to you. They both learned how to adapt in order to remain great. I remember I grew up watching when Floyd Mayweather was Pretty Boy Floyd. How many of y'all are that old where it didn't used to be Money Mayweather? He was called Pretty Boy Floyd, right? So, yeah, and you boxer enthusiasts, you probably know. And he used to beat the shit out of his opponents. But I also grew up watching, when Jordan used to dunk on, every dude in sight. But when Floyd, he ended up breaking his hands, he became a better defensive / counter fighter. And when Jordan lost some of his hang time, pause, he perfected, the fadeaway, what they called unblockable, right? and they both continued to be great. But there were times when Floyd got hit. You know what I'm saying? And you can go watch that Sugar Shane Mosley fight. And there were times when Jordan lost. Go watch when, the Detroit Pistons used to beat the shit out of him. So you go watch the Bad Boy documentary and pay attention to that 88 to 90, the 88 to 90 seasons when they used to, kill the Bulls. You know what I'm saying? But even with those setbacks, Floyd remained undefeated and Jordan never lost in the NBA Finals. You know what I'm saying? And this goes into the next point that we're going to discuss to end it. But yeah, man, and that's one of the main reasons why I think Floyd Mayweather is the best boxer of all time. And I get it. A lot of people I think Muhammad Ali was the most influential. I think Mike Tyson was the most entertaining and the most feared boxer. But as far as like pound for pound, best boxer or whatever of all time, I grew up watching Floyd Mayweather. I think I've seen probably 40 of his 50-0 fights. Seriously. Because they used to come on ESPN. Y'all remember this. ESPN used to show Floyd Mayweather fight all the time. The dude was cold. You know what I'm saying? And I just remember him changing and still being able to dominate the sport. And if you ask the people that fought Floyd, they probably say the same thing, because they was like, I had a plan, but then he did this. And Jordan, and that's tough for me to say. I'm a lifelong Laker fan. So I love Kobe. Kobe is my favorite player, but the greatest player that I've ever seen play the game, hands down, Jordan. It is what it is, man. I remember Jordan. So Dante Bryan Finals just said, I didn't know you were a boxing connoisseur, sir. We might have to chop it up later. Yeah, man. I used to put out videos of me, boxing and, doing some work a little bit. I still get out there, man. But like I said, I'm a combatives, I'm a master combatives trainer. So I went to the school in the Army, and that was something that I did. I used to teach level 1, level 2, all that stuff. So, but boxing, I enjoy it so much. I'm actually looking forward to Bud Crawford and Canelo. Yeah, I'm definitely watching that fight. So yeah, we may need to do a stream or something like that to watch that fight. Oh, let me give Dante Bryan his just due.
Black man trying to make it in society. Sitting on hip because I know they want to rob. Black man is shaking on the mother table. Black man, we need all that.
All right, so let's finish up. Here we go. Fair use.
What a person does on a disciplined, consistent basis gets him ready no matter what the goal. There's an old saying, champions don't become champions in the ring, they are merely recognized there. That's true. If you want to see where someone develops into a champion, look at his daily routine. Former heavyweight champ Joe Frazier stated, you can map out a fight plan or a life plan. But when the action starts, you're down to your reflexes. That's where your road work shows. Mm-hmm. If you cheated on that in the dark of the morning, you're getting found out now under the bright lights. Boxing is a good analogy for leadership development because it's all about daily preparation. Even a person with natural talent has to prepare and train to become successful.
Yep. So that's the end of that. Just a quick preview of the book. So I want you guys to go buy it and keep it, close to you, man. It is an amazing book. You get the PDFs. I'll show you here, show you in a second before we get out of here. But yeah, that boxing analogy is amazing. And also it kind of ties into bodybuilding, but nobody's trying to beat the shit out of you in bodybuilding. So that's why I like using boxing better for that analogy. However, in bodybuilding, it's literally only you that's going to be on stage. So, but the work comes before you get on stage, right? And I try to explain that to people, like the dieting, how hard you work out, if you're doing everything correctly, you're running, you're getting your sleep, you're doing your cardio. It's only going to affect you because you're going to be the only one, on the stage looking shitty. So you can blame yourself. It's the same thing with boxing. Some people have God-given talent, but they still have to train. And also in bodybuilding as well. If you are a fan of bodybuilding, you remember the battles that Phil Heath and Kai Green used to have? They used to say, because Kai Green, he was probably one of the most I would say he was an intense. He used to train very intense. He was he had a different style of working out, but he used to be hitting the weights hard. And they used to give Phil Heath flack because he used mostly machines to get his workouts in. I don't know if y'all remember this conversation. He don't train hard enough, but Phil, his nickname was the gift. He was naturally gifted. He had the genetics already, but they used to bank on Phil not training hard in order to get, or to beat him. Because what is that phrase where they say, was like working hard beats talent or some shit like that? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I can't remember. It's like if you work hard, let me get that. Talent beats. Yeah. It says the saying, hard work beats talent suggests that consistency, effort, and dedication can often surpass natural aptitude, especially when talent is not fully developed or utilized. So that's what they used to say about Phil Heath. He was talented, but they used to say he's using too many machines. But what they didn't know is that this dude was so genetically gifted that he could use machines while they throwing around iron, and he would still get the results, which I guess propelled him to win 7 Mr. Olympias. So you got to work hard. It is what it is. So see here. Dante Bryant, super chat again. He said, I'm a lifelong martial artist going on 30 years. I teach and train martial arts almost every day. Wow. Watch Floyd's fight with Zab Judah for the best example of what Medium Man is talking about. Yeah, man, that was a great fight. Oh my God. Man, before that fight, I was like, Zab, people don't know Zab like that. Zab was cold. He was quick. That's a great reference, man. That was an amazing fight. Damn, that fight. And then, the Sugar Shane was great too. But that Zab fight was amazing. Yeah, you got some knowledge there, brother. That's crazy.
Black man, Black man trying to make it in society. Sitting on hip because I know they want to rob. Black man, it's shaking on the mother tape. Black man, we need all that.
Dante Bryant, we'll just use that. Dante Bryant, again, too, I was just say, yeah, same thing they say about KD. Yeah. It's like he's gifted, but he work hard, man. He's a certified hooper. I think you could roll a ball to KD, on the street, and he would probably just sit there and dribble it. It's certain dudes that you just know they just love basketball. They love hoop. I think Kyrie Irving is like that. He's a hooper. He just like hoop. So, let me get
shaking on the mother tape. Black man trying to make it in society. Sitting on hip because I know they want to rob. Black man, it's shaking on the mother tape. Black man, we need all that.
I love that song, man. So you guys, the book is called it's from Johnson. Matter of fact, let me put it up here. Oh, I didn't show you the prompts. And this actually comes with the book. You guys can see that right here, the law of respect. That's one of the laws, and they actually give you a diagram. People go their own way when a group first comes together. And then people naturally align themselves and follow leaders better than themselves. And then you also got the law of sacrifice. The more responsibility and more leadership levels you go up, your rights go down because you are an example of everybody that you lead or, and those that follow you. So yes, certain things you can't do. And then this is your the law of the lid right here. And this, in the book, it explains everything. But they just give you a little diagram to help you out. So it starts right here. And then once you, increase, you end up, where to go? Here. So it's a very simple thing. Y'all will figure it out. But make sure you get the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership written by John C. Maxwell. It is one of my favorite books of all time. And I keep saying that, but I did kind of cherry pick my favorite books for this like mental health kind of live stream thing that we're doing for the month of June, men's mental health. But yeah, just, read the book, keep it on hand. And I promise you, it will definitely come in handy in personal relationships or your relationships at work, how you operate in the workplace, how you operate in relationships. It will definitely give you something to, I guess, anchor you in certain decisions that you have to make. So for the next live stream on Monday, in regards to men's mental health, I'm going to kind of go a different way. We're going to do another style show. And this was going to be a little bit different because I have a way of I think I broke down the different types of ties, but we didn't pair them with the suits and the shirts. Okay. So I have an idea that I want to do, and I may have to bring out my little dummy here, and I may have to set up the cameras. I'm not sure, or I may use pictures, but I want to do another style show because, I don't think I've done one in a while. We did the wine tasting, the wine, how to tell which wine is for what, dessert, fish, red meat, chicken. We did that. I'm just trying to cover all bases to help folks, understand why I critique the men on the Pop the Balloon reviews so much, because certain things are very easy. And I feel that if it can come from this channel, I definitely don't mind, showing you guys what I'm talking about. So yeah, I'm going to put that together. I'm going to work on that this week. And hopefully it'll be a good time. I think we'll have a good time. So, but again, man, thank y'all for tuning in. I want you to watch the game, finish watching the game. I know we went a little bit over, almost three hours. But I think this was a necessary show to talk about leadership, especially for Black men, because we get hit over the head a lot in the Black community. We know, and let me say this before I leave here, I know a lot of this shit ain't y'all fault, man. Because these women, a lot of these women operating on their own accord. We understand that. But the only thing that you can do in your own circle is, to lead that circle. Your responsibility is not for the Black community as a whole, especially for some woman that is uncovered. So if you see a woman out there acting crazy and shit, man, that's not your responsibility. You are responsible for the people in your circle. And if these people in your circle aren't willing to change or get on your program, then what you need to do, you got to get rid of them. Okay? Cut them off. Fire the president. Just trying to help y'all out, man. Save you some stress, I guess. So, but yeah, let's get at it. When I'm gonna leave you. Let's go with fast car. But again, shout out to everybody that hit the like button. Shout out to everybody that sent in super chat, especially you, Dante Bryant. I greatly appreciate it, brother. Thank you to everybody that listened, especially for a show like this. This was amazing. I'm glad y'all taking an interest into, these different books, and hopefully I'll be able to add this, into the show as we go on, and we continue building. The channel is growing, especially off that nursing video. Y'all seem to like that. So I've seen my subscribers go up. I greatly appreciate that. And I think we will be able to reach 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I'm putting it out there. God willing, that will happen. So thank you again, y'all. I appreciate the support. Man, this is an amazing show. Here we go. Fast car, but God bless. Media Man out. Peace. Thank y'all.
Fast car. I wanted to get to anywhere. Maybe we can make it. Maybe together we can get somewhere. Any place is better. Started from zero and nothing to lose. Maybe we'll make something. Me, myself, I remember when we were driving in your car. Speed so fast, I felt like I was strong. Still fast.